Good afternoon and good to see you. A special welcome to the future engineers who are starting their studies at TU Delft today. You are joining a strong community of 26,000 students and 8,000 staff. Add to that the 250 businesses on our campus, plus high-tech and living labs, and you can imagine the combined power of our innovation ecosystem. Let's not forget our biological ecosystem, with some 2,000 species of trees, a hive of bees, and the occasional pair of peregrine falcons. And did I mention the tens of thousands of bicycles every day?
Good afternoon, everyone, and a welcome to the official opening of the new academic year. Creating, inventing, designing and building, shining light onto the unknown and together shaping the future. A better future, a sustainable future. That's what we're all about here at TU Delft. But in a complex world, we need to work together more than ever. So that's what we do. We work as a community. To you, our first-year students, I say, join our community and know that you are very welcome. Together we will build your future, our future, the future. It's our theme for today, engineering the future. And isn't that just what we've been doing at TU Delft for over 180 years? Shaping the future together through our research, our design and engineering, and the projects and enterprises evolving from it. And of course, through ever new generation of Delft engineers, graduating and going out into the world and working in their chosen fields. But the future is not linear. In the course of our long history, our views on the future changed. And so did the way we shaped our contributions to an ever-changing present. Back in the 19th century, our first graduates worked on infrastructure like roads, bridges, flood defense, sanitation, the things society badly needed back then. And we cannot imagine being without today. They brought us safety, prosperity, and a greater life expectancy. These subjects never go out of fashion, so to speak. Since then, though, we have broadened and deepened the scope of our work. Fluid dynamics, robotics, artificial intelligence, design thinking, and the ethics and philosophy of technology. The list goes on. And our research now ranges from the smallest building blocks of cells and even smaller, take qubits for example, to the solar system and the planets beyond. In this, we're not only driven by curiosity and the wish to contribute to the sum total of human knowledge, though these are important drivers. We see it as our mission to create impact for a better world, for a sustainable future. But the sewers that once brought an end to the cholera outbreaks are now under threat from the fatbergs of our prosperity and the flash floods caused by climate change. Today, the world is facing complex challenges that can't be met with a single product, or design, or algorithm. How can we make our cities more resilient in the face of climate change? How do we speed up the energy transition and making it fair at the same time? How can we contribute to a responsible digital transformation in a world of global cyber threats? And how do we improve high-quality healthcare that is affordable and accessible to all? In this changing world, we have moved with the times. While our foundations are firmly rooted in the engineering traditions of our predecessors, we have developed different ways of working. We formed networks and collaborations beyond our own institution, so we can pool resources and access all areas of knowledge. We've branched out beyond our campus, meaning that we work, for example, on vertical farming in circular cities at the AMS Institute in Amsterdam. In The Hague, we share our knowledge with ministries and officials to try and improve policy making and enrich the public debate. And soon, we'll have our own base in Rotterdam, where we can work on subjects like the sustainability of port cities and much more. The demands on modern engineers are changing, and so we have had to evolve the way we educate and train our students. Once you graduate, you will probably end up working in a multidisciplinary environment, where you will have to collaborate with other professions, as well as interact with all kinds of people, from officials to the general public. That means that you will not only need to be an expert in your chosen field, but have a general understanding of other fields and a whole range of skills besides that. That is why we try to offer you an educational experience that is not only sound in its scientific grounding, but close to professional practice as well. You will be joining multidisciplinary projects and learn from professionals in the field. And you can also take part in a whole host of extracurricular activities aimed at broadening your horizon. Collaboration is an important part of our educational activities in every sense of the word. In recent years, we have set up a teaching academy where lecturers are working together on improving our engineering education by sharing experiences and innovations. In this respect, education itself has become a subject of research, something we are also very proud of. With that in mind, it saddens me when I hear about the budget cuts and other measures being considered by the government. That will affect the higher education. Is it wise, I wonder, to cut back on activities that are the backbone of innovation and its resulting socio-economic impact? Is it responsible to impose a so-called long study fine when it will scare off students to embark on a career and technology? Similarly, is it wise to restrict the flow of international students when we are so clearly in need of more people to work on the challenges I have just mentioned? These things are controversial, to say the least. Now back to you, our first-year students. Today is the official start of your time at TU Delft. Here, you will be laying the foundation for your future as an engineer. We offer you the materials to make the most of that. As with any project, there are some building regulations too. We expect you to live up to your end of the bargain and be a diligent student. As important as your social life is, do take the groundwork for your career seriously. Likewise, there are regulations for us too. The way we are going with the times in our research and education is also visible on our campus. We are more diverse than ever, with greater gender and nationality diversity in both students and staff populations. Therefore, more than ever, we have to make sure to offer all of you a safe and inclusive environment. And to underline this, next month will be a special diversity and inclusion month with workshops, training sessions, and events. But first today. And today we're going to see and hear great things from our community, the community that you belong to from today. Being part of that community brings a lot of opportunities. Not just a new home, a new environment, and new people, but many ways to build up yourself. In your education, of course, but also outside of it, socially, athletically, and in sheer fun. So take advantage of these opportunities while you can, and enjoy them.
Thank you, Professor Muddy. University life is indeed a journey of discovery, of learning and teaching, of different generations inspiring each other, of problem solving and design thinking, of building bridges and relationships, and a sustainable future. It's TU Delft for life, and it's music to my ears. Can you hear it?
Back in the days of ancient lore, they bore the core, building, milling, ever thrilling. They swore to more, from stone to Rome, from home to dome. They roam with aqueducts, constructs, the seeds were sown. Pyramids to bridges, no riches too wide. They eyed the tide with pride. They glide side by side through the ages. Sages and pages made wages, engineering stages where true science engages.
Where icons in the making, history's out for taking. Engineers shaping world's foundations are shaking. Odes in the minds where the future's designed. In every line, a testament signed.
Beyond the now, bow to the vow, how to plow. The future's bow, allow the wow. It's our town, AI sky high. While I will fly by and by, tries by. The cry to sci-fi, apply the tie. Renewables, doables, viewable, the crewable, sustainable, attainable, explainable, no fables. In every atom, datum, quantum, we fathom the spectrum. Riding the right algorithm.
Where icons in the making, history's out for taking. Engineers shaping world's foundations are shaking. Odes in the minds where the future's designed. In every line, a testament signed, legacy combined. Where icons in the making, history's out for taking. Engineers shaping world's foundations are shaking. Odes in the minds where the future's designed. In every line, a testament signed, legacy
With every
combined.
failure, a lesson. In every question, a session. We mold the essence of progression. In engineering confession. In the tangle of equations, amidst innovations and creations lies the heart of our vocation. In the dance of the delta, where water's held in shelter, engineers script the ballet. It's gonna be a belter. From the dikes that hold to the streams that fold. It's a story of control, bold, centuries old. In the veins of the land where the rivers command, we stand hand in hand with a plan grand. TU Delft's creed in every deed to lead the fight against the tide with every seed we feed.
Where icons in the making, history's out for taking. Engineers shaping world's foundations are shaking. Odes in the minds where the future's designed. In every line, a testament signed, legacy combined. Where icons in the making, history's out for taking. Engineers shaping world's foundations are shaking. Odes in the minds where the future's designed. In every line, a testament signed, legacy combined.
Ah, yes. Engineers shaping worlds. Foundations unshaken, attainable, explainable, sustainable. But how do you achieve that out here in the real world? Let's hear it from an expert. Someone who's walked the path before you. He's an alumnus from mechanical engineering, and he's turned his passion for sustainability into an international enterprise that's speeding up the energy transition. He's the CEO of FastNed. Let's hear it for Michiel Langezaal.
I'm honored to be with you today at the opening of the academic year of the university where I graduated from more than 2 decades ago. This university is one of the finest in the world. And for many of you, today marks the beginning of your studies here. 25 years, no. I think there's something wrong with the mic, right? Maybe I'll do it from the start again. I'm honored to be with you today at the opening of the academic year of the university where I graduated from more than 2 decades ago. This university is one of the finest in the world. And for many of you, today marks the beginning of your studies here. 25 years ago, I myself started my studies at this great university, and I still well remember this first Monday of September. In the weeks before, I spent my time becoming a new member of the student association of my choice. And I remember it as an exciting time, but it could also be intimidating sometimes. And it didn't quite help that finding a room to live in was easy. It wasn't easy. And I expect that for quite a few of you here, you will recognize that feeling. To be frank, that first time I was utterly exhausted. So for the first time I ever went to the opening of the academic year was in my second year of studies. So I'm extremely impressed to see so many of you here. We are here to celebrate the start of a new chapter, to celebrate the beginning of the best periods of your lives. The period in which many of you, for the first time, will truly learn to stand on your own feet. And today, I'd like to tell you 3 stories, stories taken from my life, stories that I hope will help you along your way here and later in life. The first story goes back to the many speakers I listened to during the first years of my student life. Speakers who spoke about the importance of what I would learn outside the classroom. Many spoke about personal development or becoming an adult. For example, they said that deciding whether or not to go to class was an important change in becoming a responsible person. At the time, I probably didn't really understand what they were talking about. Now looking back, I think I do. In my 5th year of studies, I had the privilege of being an exchange student at the University of Texas in Austin. A place well known for corporations such as Dell Computer and now also Tesla Motors. There were many exchange students, usually laid-back Aussies, but I also remember one of my French classmates. He was, let's say, less relaxed. And on one of the first days, the guy asked me about my grades. And after hearing about them being roughly average, he asked how it could be that I was possibly allowed to go on exchange. He was among one of the very best students of one of the very best universities of France. And well, I wasn't. Some weeks later, on a Friday afternoon, we got our first research assignment. And a few hours later, the French guy called me in despair. How could the university have issued this assignment? So much was unclear, and he was very stressed about how to ever deliver. My reaction, relax, chill, we've done this before. On Monday, we'll start to investigate, we'll make a plan, and we'll find out how to solve the problem they gave us. But first, it's Friday. Let's go to a bar and have some fun. This is the value of years of throwing problems at me in Delft, often with little guidance in what to do and making me responsible for coming up with a plan. My takeaway, the grade of the assignment was just as important as the ability to work it out on your own with little or no guidance. So when in the coming months you feel like you've been left alone with no guidance, think of this. And in due time, make sure to look back and think about the trust and confidence you gained in yourself. Confidence that helped me at some point in time to start my own business and guide many others. The confidence to invest money from others who trusted me to do the right thing with their money. And this brings me to my second story about FastNed. The company that I built in the last decade. FastNed builds, owns, and operates charging stations like the ones that you see behind me on the screen. Today, FastNed is one of the top 3 charging companies in Europe when ranked in terms of sales. After I graduated, I started to work for a management consulting firm. I did so mostly because friends did that, and because I had no other plan. Well, it was a few years later I ran into the idea of an electric car when I was working on a project in the automotive sector. And it fascinated me from the start. Obviously, an electric drivetrain is 3 times more efficient than a car with an internal combustion engine. And a switch to electric cars would make our lives better, with better air quality, tackling climate change issues, and it is simply a better and easier car to drive. But the barriers for the electric car to reach the masses were also gigantic. Batteries needed to become better and cheaper. Charging technology needed to develop, and charging infrastructure needed to be built up. At that time, many people at car makers focused on solving the first problem, the batteries. Few people focused on the latter part, the charging infrastructure. Without any electric cars driving around, people thought, why should I invest in charging stations? But without charging stations, there would never be electric cars on the road. I wanted to solve this problem and find a way to make sure there is value in building infrastructure before there are electric cars. Then I could find investors and start building the infrastructure. Initially, I joined a startup here in Delft that was focused on developing fast chargers, so the technology. And our customers were car manufacturers such as BMW or Volkswagen that needed chargers to test their newly developed vehicles. This provided me a very early insight into the future of the electric car. In the years that followed, I met my co-founder, Bart Lubbers, and together we set out to build a large fast charging network to set free the electric car. To build the infrastructure that makes it possible for people to choose an electric car as their first car and to use it to drive anywhere. Today, FastNed has several hundreds of employees, and year after year we win prizes for the best charging network. I think I can say that we delivered a very large contribution to building out the charging infrastructure that is needed to allow people to start driving electric cars. I found that problem, or the topic that triggered me, more or less by coincidence. Some say I should be happy that I found it so early in life. Many people search their whole careers for this, and some never find it. It was the topic of electric cars and charging that grabbed me. Looking back, I had no desire or plan to become the CEO of a large Euronext-listed company. My aim was to build a charging network. Many people teach you to think in studies, in terms of studies, jobs, and career tracks. And my advice to you is, look around for the topic that you love, the industry that catches you, and the work environment that feels good. And how do you do that? Talk to fellow students, talk to friends, colleagues, and talk to them about those large societal issues and the interesting problems that they provide. And don't forget to think about that these new industries are a consequence of the new challenges that we're facing. I cannot tell you enough about the motivation and inspiration FastNed gave me and still gives me, knowing I'm working on a big societal issue. And this brings me to my third and final story for today. Setting up a company to solve a big societal problem also comes with huge bottlenecks. And to mention one, funding. Many startups fail simply because they ran out of cash before the market starts to scale and revenues are building up. And FastNed was no different. Bart and I started with our own money, and instead of asking my parents to help me out with a mortgage, I asked them for a loan to start a company. And somewhat later, a small community of impact investors helped us to fund the next handful of stations. But how do you scale from that point onwards? We investigated many, if not all, options. For venture capital, it was the large investments needed in infrastructure that scared them. For private equity, a time horizon of 5 to 7 years was the problem. And at the same time, we were getting calls from people asking how they could contribute. These people read about our plans in the media, and they often were early adopters that had already charged at one of our new stations. Some even asked if they could invest. This is the background to FastNed's first listings, from a small SME stock trading platform to later Euronext Amsterdam. With these initial listings, FastNed raised several million euros, but our ambitions required a lot more money. And people often asked us, but what is the return I get on these FastNed shares? And then things got complicated. I often found myself explaining that as a shareholder, you own a small part of the company, and that returns depend on future profits. And many people then looked at me and asked, why can you not just tell me an interest rate that you want to give me in the return for my financial support? This brought us to consider loans, or in our case, bonds. And many corporate finance experts advised against this, saying that financing in the early phase of the build-up of a company should be done by issuing share capital. And why? Well, it is because the cash flows of the company, they cannot pay for the interest yet. Their message was more or less, that is how it should be done according to the textbook, and you better follow that. If FastNed would have followed this classical route, it would not exist today. If I had listened to these experts, the company would have gone bankrupt or would have been forced to sell it to one of these electricity companies that would rather wait. Fortunately, we didn't do that. We carefully looked at the concerns and came to the conclusion there was ways to mitigate them. And we listened to those people that wanted to help and issue cash to the company. We listened to the supporters of our mission. The result was the issuance of more than 100 million euros in bonds to retail investors across the Netherlands. And this brought money into the company and allowed FastNed to scale to the moment in time when institutional investors found it interesting. Well, I would say the rest is history, with over almost €500 million invested by now. Looking back, many key bottlenecks we had to overcome at FastNed required new ways of thinking and solutions that did not follow textbooks or existing practices. Well, back to this auditorium. Today, you will start your study and you will start your journey at one of the finest universities in the world. A journey to find out what grabs you and where you will contribute to society. And remember, develop your judgment and be critical, but also have trust and be confident in yourself. This is a place to educate your mind and develop your thinking. Find out what you love. I wish you all the best in your studies. Thank you.
Thank you, Michiel Langezaal. Great to hear how you were able to lay the foundations for your success here in Delft, and how inspiring for our new students and for all of us to see what you've achieved by building on those foundations. To see how you kept your dream alive and made it happen, do keep in touch. But we all know that such achievements cost. And right here is where you start paying, in sweat. That was great, Albeda Dance College. You are studying to become professional dancers by next year. But as far as we're concerned, you have already passed with flying colours. As we could also see in your dance, collaboration is key. Somewhere else you can see collaboration at its best is in our Dream Hall, where teams of students achieve great things that inspire society. Fueled by their drive and ambition, they are building their dreams together. So let's meet the Epoch team.
Hi. Welcome. Welcome here at this podium. Please, Robert, Emil, can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Thank you. My name is Emil, and last year I was Chief Engineer of Epoch 4.
Hello everyone, I'm Robert and I'm the team manager of Epoch 4. And over there you see the rest of the team. We are 15 grade and we're students from all different study backgrounds. So for example, I'm mechanical engineering, but we have, of course, computer science, but the others as well.
What is it exactly, a Delft Dream Team? Could you explain, Robert?
Yeah, a Dream Team is for students that want to dedicate a year to develop a certain technology. So we get the opportunity to have an office and to have great staff and to have a goal, but everything else is made up by us. We have to define our own goals, we have to dive into this technology, and it's also very competitive. So every team, you have multiple of them, is competition driven, and it really helps with motivation.
And no credits for your studies?
No.
Then why do you do it?
There's no credits, yet we do it. And the goals you can set yourself, and to have the opportunities to do something for a whole year where you believe in, and to do it with a team that also does this because they believe in this goal is very special. And that opportunity is enough.
Okay, fair enough. Can you give an example, Emiel?
Yes, so our mission is to contribute to a positive development of AI. And for example, one of the projects that we're most proud of that we did last year was mapping kelp forests. So kelp, an underground type of forest, is very important for ecosystems, but also for capturing CO2. But it's really hard to keep track of. So what we did was we used AI to recognize where kelp is growing on satellite images. And this was part of a challenge. We were competing against over 600 other teams, from universities like Singapore, Beijing, or Munich, against experts who have been in the field for decades, against people who have been, for example, across the world, and the very top of competitive machine learning and competitive AI. And we actually won this challenge. So our student team, against people with so much experience, becoming first was an amazing experience to see that that's just possible with the TU Delft.
Great. Good.
And we also have a video.
Yeah, please.
Because it was very well received by the foundation that organized the competition.
Hello everyone, my name is Michael Mateus. I'm Master of Science in Fisheries and Aquatic Sciences studied at the University of Namibia. I am doing my research with Campbell Namibia, and my studies are fully-funded by the Forest Foundation. So this process, when you do it manually, it usually takes time because we have to download the large files of satellite data from either Landsat or Sentinel. And currently, with AI, everything is made easier and very efficient because these algorithms can be trained to do it automatically. And they are quite accurate, and they can come up with various predictive models, which are very important when it comes to presenting this satellite data. I just want to congratulate the Epoch team for winning the competition. Thank you.
Great achievement, and then winning, beating the rest of the world. How did you do it?
Yeah, so one of the reasons, I believe, is having a multidisciplinary team. Because we have students from different study backgrounds, we have all these different perspectives on the problem, and that really helps finding unique angles and solutions. And besides that, also the motivation of the team. Having such a driven group of students all working for the same goals, I mean that you can really trust each other and rely on each other. You can perform so much better than you normally would.
And I guess hard working?
Not just hard working. It's
socializing as well?
Yes, the nice thing about Dream Teams is that they are a unique combination of both a student atmosphere and a fun playground to experiment while being able to get these professional level achievements.
Yeah, I think we started the year, for example, with the most important thing, and that's getting to know each other. We started in Drenthe, a very small village, with paintballing and sailing, not with computers. And I think that really helped the cohesion, and that's why we are good. Yeah, it went well. Mm-hmm. Also, one of the pictures here, it's not just the big things like going on trips. This is when we got our computers. Of course, we're also working on them and putting them together. But if you look closely, you see that's on a ping pong table.
Yeah.
And that's also one of the things. We are a student team. We're still students, and during the break times, we still do ping pong stuff like that.
Right.
And the funny thing about this ping pong table is it's not even ours. It's from one of the other Dream Teams. We work in an office in a building with 6 others, and to have this community where you can catch up and learn from each other is very valuable.
I guess that made it a very special year, being able to do so.
Yes, definitely. Doing this as a year made me learn so much, not just about computer science, but also about management, working with this team, and experience that you would normally never get to do. So we went to conferences in Amsterdam, but also in Switzerland. We visited podcasts, radios, and now we're here. That's not something you would normally do.
Okay, what's next?
What's next? For me, I'll be just a mechanical engineering student again. So for me, this is also the opening of the academic year. And for Epoch 5, the next one, they're already started. And of course, I'll check in on them every once in a while.
What about you, Emil?
I'm also going to continue my studies, computer science and AI. And we'll give some advice and check in. And we're very curious what the next team is going to come up with.
Well, thanks very much. All the best going back to class, and see you.
Thank you.
That was interesting, Epoch. Artificial intelligence can truly be an epoch-defining technology. It is encouraging to see how you are working on making it a force for good. So many thanks for your efforts in the past year, and best of luck to your successors. Our road towards a sustainable future is not a straightforward one. We need raw materials for a green transition, but the extraction of critical materials is fraught with all kinds of environmental, economic, and social risks. But unexpected collaborations can bring novel solutions, as Vivan Desta and Reza Sabsevari prove. Let's take a look.
Wind turbines, solar panels, electric vehicles.
Different types of sensors, rockets, airplanes.
For smartphones, computers.
Pacemakers in healthcare or fertilizers in agriculture. The use of critical raw materials is really, really diverse.
Critical raw materials are critical not only because they are their economic importance, but also due to the high risk associated with their supply. So the EU wants us to be more autonomous in securing these materials and be less dependent on other countries. So the EU has proposed strategies in securing these materials, including diversifying the supply source, enhancing domestic production, and promoting recycling within a circular economy.
But of course, we don't have all the critical raw materials that we need in every single country. So it needs collaboration with other countries, it needs trading with other countries. Land mining is one of the options. The other option is deep sea mining. It will also has a lot of impact, environmental impact on our oceans. And the third option is mining in deep space.
The material which you extract to process, 99.99% is waste, and you only get 0.001% of gold. For example, if it's a copper mine, you still get copper in copper waste sites. It tells you that the extraction method is not that efficient.
We know that working in mines is super dangerous. We need automation there. And there are already some companies that are sending teleoperated machines to mines to basically extract the raw materials. But also, we want to get the critical raw materials to improve our quality of life. But I mean, it shouldn't come at the price of sacrificing our habitats.
Extraction of valuable materials from mine waste piles requires innovative approaches. So integrating the idea of extracting material from mine waste using technology and data analytics with robotic concept could benefit in realizing that in the near future.
Human-centered is one of the most important topics. Automation, so from now on, we are going to see more and more automation in different domains. What we need to do now is to work on efficiency and optimizing the way that we use resources and materials.
For me, it signifies a focus on training students with innovative or cutting-edge knowledge and skills to address emerging challenge and opportunity in the field of engineering. So in the near future, I do hope that the technology will be there to full recovery of metals of economic interest from waste piles, and that will help us somehow contribute to the growing demand and at the same time help us achieve minimizing the environmental impact. Such kind of complex problem requires a multidisciplinary approach. We need to look at it from different disciplines. So collaboration is a key in achieving objective of like remining from different unconventional sources. We need experts from different background.
It's not a challenge that is far from reality. It's a challenge that needs hard work.
That was extraordinary, Fiven and Reza. Thank you for sharing your work and your ideas with us. Let's hope that we build on them. Of course, fundamental research does lead to practical applications, but it takes passion and determination to make it happen. Let's talk to one of our alumni who did just that. He is the founder of SoundCell and a TU Delft alumnus as well. Please welcome Irek Roslon. Hello, Irek. 12 years ago, you were in this very building on your first day as a physics student. Do you remember what your thoughts and dreams were back then?
It was exciting and a little bit frightening, kind of like being here now on stage. And my dreams at that point were to build something that could be used by other people, that would be useful. And I didn't know at that point what it would be, whether it would be a sensor or some kind of robot. But I wanted it to, well, go out there and, well, have someone make use of that. And here in Delft, you meet new people from the day on. You find new places. There are no new customs to learn. And this is the place where you can actually start making these things. So that was my feeling there. But sitting here 12 years ago in the room, I didn't expect that I would do a PhD at some point or that I would start up a company.
Oh yes, I can imagine. And look where you are now, as CEO of SoundCell. It must have been a journey full of ups and downs, successes and adversities. Tell us more about it.
It started actually with me looking for a thesis topic. And I was going through the hallways here in the building, looking at all the posters with different researchers. And one of them really caught my eye. It was about graphene, a single layer of atoms that's very thin and very sensitive. And that's where I started doing my thesis topic, and also my PhD thesis. And it was at a conference, talking to other scientists, that I came up with the idea. That the idea was born to make use of the peculiar properties of graphene, to sense living cells, to see what bacteria are doing. But my background was physics, mechanics. I didn't know anything about biology. So I had to find someone who could tell me more about biology. Luckily, here in Delft, we have down on the campus a full faculty of biologists. So when they're knocking on the doors and we said, hey, we have this crazy idea. We want to put microbes on sensors made of graphene. Would you help us out? And that's how I got in touch with my current co-founder, Alexandra, because he said, well, that's a crazy idea, but sure, I'm going to help you out with that. And we started experimenting, cycling up and down the campus with the bacteria in our backpack. And we saw the first experiments coming to life. We saw the first signals. I thought, that's amazing. So we wrote a paper on the topic, and we were really glad of ourselves. And then the university came knocking on our door and asked us, guys, what is this good for? And we're like, but this is science, right? It's amazing, right? We can see the motion of bacteria. Yeah, but who will use it? What is it good for? We scratched our back and we realized we have to venture out again, out of the university, and find out who can actually benefit from this technology. And we went to wastewater management systems. We talked to people in food industry. And we also came across doctors. And that's the way we found our current application, which is to very quickly find out which pill to prescribe to someone who has a bacterial infection. And at this point, we have a team of all kinds of backgrounds. And every day you learn new things about quality, about biology, and also about engineering.
So you and your team have built a unique business, but we've got a room full of engineers here, so we'd also like to hear some of the technical details.
So this technology is used to very quickly assess whether a bacterium is alive or dead. And we do that with graphene membranes, which are very thin, and we put them over cavities, kind of resembling a percussion drum. Now, in a hospital, you have all kinds of bacteria that you need to test and understand which antibiotic to prescribe. And these bacteria are in a liquid. So in the hospital, you can check whether those bacteria in those liquids are being affected by the antibiotic. We put the bacteria on one of these membranes, and when they are alive, the process causes them to move it. With a laser, we can read out the motion of this optical cavity, and the signal is high when they are alive, but when you add an antibiotic, the signal dies out when the bacteria dies. And in this way, we very quickly can see which antibiotic does work and which one doesn't. And moreover, we for the first time could see the motion of a single bacterium caused by the processes internally, by its growth, by its exchange of substances. And actually, all this mechanical motion is in an audible frequency. So when we change this mechanical motion of a bacterium into sound, we can actually hear the sound of one single bacterium. Let's hear it.
Fascinating. Let's go back to where it all started here at TU Delft. Today is about building. What are you building on? I mean, what have you taken away from your time at TU Delft?
Well, what I've taken away from the time here is that the crazy ideas that you pop up with, you have to share them. You have to share them with the people around you. Because those crazy ideas that now sound basically science fiction, one day might become true. You might actually build them and get them in your hands, and they might really make an impact on society. So with that, I would like to wish you all the luck and a great academic year, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Irek, for talking about your journey and sharing with us what the most important things were that you learnt in Delft. I'm sure our new students will take something away that they can build upon. And we'll be watching your and SoundCell's future closely. And now we've almost come to the end of this event. It is about time to officially open the new academic year. And here to help us with that are some very important people, the members of our student council. You may have seen them when you came in, but let's get to know them and their work a little bit better. Professor Mudde, will you join them on stage?
Next to me is our brand new chair of the Central Student Council. Hi,
Hi.
Step. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Can you
You're
introduce
good?
yourself and perhaps your
course.
team members, so to say?
Yes, we just started today. My name is Step. I'm 21 years old. I just finished my bachelor's last year. And together with all these 10 people, we will represent the students next year in the Central Student Council.
It's great to see you all. Thanks very much for willing to help us out in the university. What can you and the council members do for all our students?
Yeah, so as the Central Student Council, we represent all the students towards the executive board. We talk a lot with employees about student-related topics like well-being, education, stuff like that.
It's great, and for the students, apart from the central, every faculty also has its council that you can go to with whatever is on your mind and inform them so they can talk to the deans, and the central council can talk to me, which we do on a virtually weekly basis.
Yes.
Great.
The Central Student Council is for university-wide topics, and then the Faculty Student Council is for things that are on faculty level specifically.
And don't forget, students, they are your eyes and ears bringing the messages towards the deans and the board. I thank you very much for joining here, and I wish you a very, very successful year as council members, and probably we'll see one another, I guess. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
And so, we come to the end of the academic ceremony. I hope you have enjoyed yourself as much as I did. Let it be the basis of an academic year full of discoveries and achievements, where we forge new relationships and celebrate the old ones, where we build on tradition to engineer the future. And may it be an exciting, but most of all, a fair and sustainable one for all of us. Thank you for being here today. If you can please come and have a drink with us at the reception in the foyer on the first floor here behind me, where you will be able to meet and greet today's speakers. There, on the tables, you will find also our brand new TU Delft laptop stickers. They're already a collector's item, so make sure you bag one. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for a moment until the cortege has left the auditorium via the stage. And now, I declare the academic year 2024-2025 open.
I concur. And now, let's get that party started.